Hey guys, my name is Manny Rital and welcome back to the channel. And this past week has been crazy with everything that's happened on Wall Street, with GameStop, with Nokia and BlackBerry. It's been an eye-opening week for investors and also particularly for people who are interested in getting into investing or trading. So I found that this might be a good idea and a good time to actually elaborate on some of the ways that newcomers, especially Canadians, can get into investing. And this video we're actually going to dedicate on TFSAs. So tax-free saving accounts, what are they, how they can be useful for investing, and how many Canadians are actually not taking advantage of their full capabilities and just using them as storage for cash. So we're going to cover all that in today's video. Guys, like all my videos, timestamps are posted right here along the timeline in the description and will be pinned as a top comment, so it's easy for you to navigate across the video. So the TFSA program started way back in 2009. It's a way for individuals that are 18 years or older to save up money for their retirement or just to reach any of their financial goals. One of the main advantages of the TFSA is any money that's withdrawn at any time in the future is not counted as your income, meaning you won't be taxed on it. So unlike an RRSP, where when you eventually withdraw that money, it's counted as your income and taxed, the TFSA does not tax you on any withdrawals, hence the name tax-free saving account. So you can open TFSAs at a bank, at an insurance company, at a credit union, or online brokerage. And there's actually no limit on the total amount of TFSAs you can have. So you can have 1, you can have 5, you can have 10, you can have as many as you want. But when I talk about the contribution room, managing multiple TFSAs can get tricky. So I advise most of the viewers to actually stick to just 1 or a maximum of 2. And it's an easy way to keep track of how much money you're depositing into the TFSA, because there is a strict limit mandated by the government, which you can't go over. And we'll talk about that more in the contribution room for TFSAs. So as mentioned previously, anyone who's 18 years or older, who is a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, can open a TFSA. All they really need is their social insurance number and a valid ID. And once that's validated and confirmed, you officially have a TFSA open in your name. Julie turns 18 on May 13th, 2021. She will not be able to open up and contribute to a TFSA until that date. However, as of May 13th, 2021, she can open a TFSA and contribute the full 2021 TFSA dollar limit. So let's talk about contributions and contribution limits to the TFSA. Any TFSA contributions, so that means deposits into your TFSA, will count towards your contribution limit for that calendar year. And you'll have to wait until the following calendar year for your contribution limit to reset. If for whatever reason you over contribute to a TFSA, the government will charge you 1% interest rate per month that you've gone over the amount allocated for that year. So say if you go $500 over the contribution limit and keep that $500 in excess in the TFSA, the government will charge you 1% tax on that $500 for every month you keep that in the TFSA. From 2009 to 2012, the yearly contribution limit for the TFSA was $5,000. In 2013 to 2014, this jumped up to $5,500 per year. Similarly, in 2015, we saw a giant spike to $10,000. In 2016 to 2018, this dropped back down to $5,500 per year, and then in 2019 to 2021, we saw this rise back up to $6,000. With the exception of 2015, the TFSA contribution limit is usually adjusted to inflation and increases in increments of $500. The total cumulative contribution allowed in a TFSA as of 2021 is $75,500. Let's look at an example of growth inside of a TFSA. Braden was eager to open up his TFSA, but he didn't turn 18 until December 21st, 2017. On January 4th, 2018, he opened a TFSA and contributed $11,000. That's $5,500 for the 2017 year, plus $5,500 for the 2018 year, the maximum TFSA dollar limits for those years. On the advice of his broker, he had opened a self-directed TFSA and invested in stocks that increased in value. By the end of 2018, the value of Braden's TFSA had increased to $11,800. Braden was worried that for 2019, he would only be able to contribute $5,200. The TFSA dollar limit of $6,000 for 2019 minus the $800 increase in value in his TFSA through 2018. Neither the earnings generated in the account nor the increase in its value will reduce the TFSA contribution room in the following year. So Braden can contribute up to $6,000 in 2019 to his TFSA. Okay, so now that you have a better understanding of the contribution room and how the limits are determined, you're probably asking yourself, well, what can I do with the TFSA? How can I use this as an investment vehicle, and how will this help me make money or meet my financial goals? The types of investments that are allowed in the TFSA are almost identical to those allowed in an RRSP. So that means you can purchase mutual funds, ETFs, index funds, stocks, any particular shares in a company, the same thing you'd be able to do in any other registered savings account. Another really cool thing about TFSAs is that you can actually contribute foreign funds. Here's a snapshot of my portfolio that I have in my TFSA, and you can see that I have a mix of both Canadian and US stocks, as well as both Canadian and US ETFs. So there really is no restriction of what you can put and invest with inside a TFSA. I want you to pause this video and take a look at the schedule real quick. Let's assume you open up a TFSA and you decide to contribute $5,500 per year. And let's just make the assumption that the contribution room will stay at $5,500 throughout these 35 years. Let's also assume that the annualized portfolio rate of return is around 8%. You can tell by just contributing $5,500 per year and letting compound interest do its thing that you'll amass a lot of interest over your 35 years. As a matter of fact, the total interest earned on this mock portfolio will be approximately $830,000. The TFSA can be a very powerful investing tool over a long period of time. And most importantly, all interest earned and growth in your stocks in your portfolio will be tax-free when you decide to withdraw it. So one of the most overlooked and underappreciated things about a TFSA is that any investment growth or any amount of money that you make from within a TFSA, it doesn't affect your contribution limit room, and you don't get taxed on it when you decide to sell that and withdraw that money. That's very key. People don't understand that, and I mentioned previously that the majority of Canadians treat the TFSA as simply as another savings account to hold their cash. That is a complete waste. I don't recommend doing that at all. I mean, you might as well just keep that cash in a regular bank account. It's also important that we look at the flip side of things and take a look at any losses that might occur in a TFSA. Any investment loss within a TFSA does not affect your contribution limit at all. Therefore, it won't affect the contribution limit in your future years. Here's a really good example. Amanda opened a TFSA on March 20, 2019 and invested $5,000 in stocks. During the year, the value of her stocks decreased, and on December 31st, 2019, the fair market value of these stocks was reduced to $1,000. As a result, Amanda decided to withdraw the $1,000 left in investment and close her TFSA. The $4,000 loss that Amanda incurred during the year is not considered a withdrawal. The only amount that would be part of her TFSA room calculations is the $1,000 that was withdrawn when she closed her TFSA. Let's look at replacing withdrawals with an example. Since opening her TFSA in 2009, Jenny has contributed the maximum TFSA dollar limit each year. By the end of 2018, she has accumulated a total of $57,500 in her TFSA account. In 2019, Jenny makes a $6,000 contribution, the TFSA dollar limit for 2019. Later that year, she withdraws $3,000 for a trip. Unfortunately, her plans change and she can't go. Since Jenny already contributed the maximum to her TFSA earlier in the year, she has no TFSA contribution room left. If Jenny wishes to recontribute part or all of the $3,000 she withdrew, she'll have to wait until the beginning of 2020 to do so. The $3,000 will be added to her TFSA contribution room at the beginning of 2020. If she recontributes any of the withdrawn amount before 2020, she will have an excess amount in her TFSA and will be charged a tax equal to 1% of the highest excess TFSA amount for each month that the excess remains in her account. So in summary, a tax-free saving account is a registered investment or saving account that allows for tax-free gains. The amount of money that can be contributed to a TFSA is limited each year. A TFSA can be used for any savings goals, and withdrawals can be made free of tax. The contribution room for TFSAs is restricted to a dollar amount, regardless of how many accounts you have. Withdrawals can be replaced in addition to your contribution year the next calendar year. Over-contributing to a TFSA will incur a tax of 1% per month on the over-contributed portions. And that wraps up the video on TFSAs. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'll have more videos regarding investing in stocks coming in the near future. Thanks, guys.